All right, welcome back to the last class of these 2 weeks that we got off. Again, I told you I don't know by now whether or not we're going back to school on Monday. I pray that we do, but I could also see a chance that we don't. Right now, I think it's a coin flip, 50-50, but I think it's actually more likely that we're not going to have school than we are, okay? But don't quote me. I don't know. Only the Lord knows. And that's why we trust in him. And that's why I'm not stressing out. I know that he has our best interest at heart. So let's just do math, because that's what we could worry about. All right. Not about what's going on around in the world. We know that God has control over everything. We can't, however, worry about the things that we're supposed to be doing, which is doing math. And me, obviously, teaching you this math. And this is how I'm doing it. All right. So lesson 105 says compound average and rate problems. Okay, so this one is word problems. I always tell you, word problems are about reading comprehension. You need to understand what you read so that then you can do the math. And so I'm going to tell you all the time, this is about 90% math comprehension. I mean, not math comprehension, reading comprehension, and 10% math. So unfortunately for you, I can't teach you how to comprehend what you read. But I would encourage you to read. I mean, how do you read the Bible? How do you understand what the Bible says? You have to read. All right. So read. And when you're tired of reading, keep reading some more. Because that's something that you will always do. Okay. And so always read. And then the second part is let's get into the math. And so let's see the type of problems that we're going to be seeing. So let's get into the examples. All right, so example 1, it's pretty easy. I mean, I broke it down and it says Blanca went and saw this company XYZ. I don't know what company that was, but she decided to buy 200 shares, all right? So she bought 200 shares at $54. And then she saw that she was doing pretty well. And so she wanted to later buy some more, but then when she actually went to buy some more, they said, whoa, but now they're $60 because they're doing well. It's $60 is not $54. So she said, okay, so instead of buying 200, let's buy 100. So she ended up with a grand total, if you add here, of 300 shares. Wow. So she has 300 shares. But what we want to know is how much was it per average, like the average for each one of those shares when she had the 300 already, not the separate ones, right? Because for the 200, she paid 54, but for the 100, she paid 60. So if most of you were going to do, oh, super easy, let's just add 54 plus 60 and divide by 2, that doesn't work because she didn't buy half at one price and half at the other. She bought 2/3 at 54 and 1/3 at 60. So what we have to do is a little bit more complicated. What we have to do is this. We have to multiply 200 times 54. Which is super complicated math right here. Hopefully you are already following along and I don't have to tell you how to do this. So for the 200 shares, she spent $10,800. Okay, for 200 shares. Now for 100 shares, she spent $60. I don't know why I'm counting. That's so weird. Okay, 0, 0, 0. Maybe just because I'm tired. But we get $6,000 for the other one. All right, so she bought one for $10,800 for 200, and for 100 she bought him at $6,000. So now we're going to add them together. Well, this no, not 6,800. 6,000, just 6,000. Okay, so it's going to be 16,800. Oh yeah. So now that we have 16,800, what we're going to do is pretty easy. Now we're going to divide by 300. And I know a lot of you are going to be like, wait, Mr. Silva, why are you dividing it this way? Look at what I'm going to do. Cancel out the zeros, and now I can divide the whole thing by 3, which is so much easier. And then how do we divide 168 by 3? We can actually do it in the box now if you want to. So it's going to be 5, which is 15, 6. Each one of the shares was $56 in average when she bought one at 54 and the other one at 60. And you see, that's why we can do 54 plus 60, because if we did 54 plus 60 divided by 2, and I want to do it so that some of you understand what I'm doing here, that would be 114 divided by 2. That would tell me that it'd be $57. You see, you're off by $1. You're off by $1, and it matters. So the actual answer is $56, not 57, and that's why we do it that way. Okay? All right, so let me just position this camera a little bit better, a little bit more central so that you can see the numbers better. There we go. So they're saying about this dude, Gabe. Gabe is playing, went out bowling, all right? He's not playing bowling, he's actually bowling, all right? So he went bowling, and in the first 3 games, he got an 88 average. And now they're saying, okay, even the next 2 games, so 3 plus 2 is 5, he wants to have a whole average of 90, not just for the 2 games, but for the whole night. He wants to have an average of 90 for all the 5 games. What does he have to get in the next 2 games? Well, again, we're going to actually use this like this. And I told you, reading comprehension is so vital. And I didn't even look at the answer, I promise. I just read what I had to read, and I got this. And so that's one of the reasons that I do well in problem solving, because I understand what I'm doing, all right? And so what I'm going to do is multiply 88 times 3. 3 times 8 is going to be 24, and a 2 goes up, and again 24, but this is 264, right? And then 9 plus 5 is going to be 450. I'm not even going to bother multiplying, because I already know that 9 times 5 is 45, plus 0 is 450, all right? So that's what I did first, all right? So he got 264 in the first 3 games, and then 450. Now we have to subtract from 450, 364. 14 is an 8, so 86. Oh, it's 2. My bad, not 3. 186. That makes more sense. So what happens is that in the next 2 games, he needs to get a combined score of 186. All right? But in each one of the games, he needs to get a 93. So to go from 88 to a 90 from 88 in 3 games to a 90 in 5 games, he needs to get in the next 2 games a 93 and a 93. That's what he needs to do. And that is example 2. All right, look at this. The last example says there's a trip that's 120 miles to San Diego, right? And so going to San Diego, it took 3 hours. And coming back from San Diego, because traffic was lighter, was 2 hours, all right? So they're asking, okay, we want to know the average speed for going. We want to know the average speed of coming back, and we want to know the overall average speed. Look, I broke down all those words into this to make it a lot easier. So we know how to find average speed. How? We get the distance, and we divide it by the time. And so 120 divided by 3, it would be 40 miles per hour. So going was 40 miles per hour. Coming back, 120 miles per hour divided by 2 was 60 miles per hour. Wow, look at that. 60 miles per hour. However, we cannot do what some of you would be tempted to do, which is add 60 plus 40 and then divide it by 2 to be able to find how much it was? No, that doesn't work, okay? What we need to do is then get 120 twice, because going is 120 miles, coming back is another 120 miles, so it'd be 240 miles divided by 5, because 3 plus 2 is 5. So we have to add all the distance and all the hours. That in turn would be 24 divided by 5. I mean, it's going to be 4. And 4 comes down, and so it would be 49 miles per hour for the overall trip. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Just understand what you're doing. Like I could keep on going with examples after example after example, but if you don't understand what you're doing, you're going to get it wrong. And so at the end of it, when they're asking you the overall things, you have to add the overall distance with the overall hours and find the overall speed, which is going to be 40. Did I do it wrong? Yes, I'm sorry. 48, not 49, because 8 times 5 is 40, not 45, which is 9. And so, yes, it's 48. That's why you always need to check your math. But, yeah, that's it. And as I was telling you, please understand, you had to add the 120 of going towards San Diego, and then the 120 miles coming back from San Diego. And so it took 3 hours to go to San Diego, and it took 2 hours to come back from San Diego. So that's 5 hours, and 120 plus 120 is 240, and then you divide it, you get 48 miles per hour, which is not anywhere close to what 40 plus 60 divided by 2 would be, because that would be 50 miles per hour. That's 2 miles per hour more, and that's why some people get it wrong. So understand that, and yeah, that's it. So thank you again for another week of videos, and by now you probably already know whether we have school on Monday or not. So if we have school on Monday, I'll see you in school, but if not, we're just going to keep on doing the videos until we finish the book. All right, so I'll see you either in school or in the next one. All right, peace.